بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So today we will be talking about another building block that actually help us to understand and look through the perspective of the Islamic mindset, and it is talking about necessity. Necessity is the thing that if you don't have, you will die or you will be close to dying. That's what necessity is. So, for example, if a person doesn't eat, so they will be, probably gonna die after a while, or they would be close to dying. So, food is a necessity. And the same thing for example, safety. Because we talked before, like two lessons before, about the five major objectives of Islam. And we said that they are all, which mean, the five objectives, um, they're all about preservation, preserving the self, preserving the mind, preserving the religion, preserving dignity or honor, preserving religion, preserving ownership or money or property. So if you don't have safety, like how it happened in many Arab countries and many, countries around the world, that with wars and civil wars and whatever happens there, when you lose safety, you actually, can die or be close to dying. So necessity means that you need to take care of yourself regarding things that actually will cause you to die or be near to dying. And there is actually a rule says that الضرورات تبيح المحظورات, which means necessity makes the forbidden permissible. So let's say, for example, eating pork, that's forbidden. You can't do that. But let's say you're lost, you're somewhere that you do not have food, you do not have bread, you do not have vegetables, you do not have fish, somewhere that you only have pork, or let's say you only have dead animal. Well, can we eat that? No. But what if it's now a necessity? Means if I don't eat it, then I would be dying or very close to dying. Then I can eat it because now it's about your life. And whenever it comes to your life to preserve it, then you need um, to preserve it. And that's where this rule comes to say necessity makes the forbidden permissible. For example, if you're choking, let's say that you're eating and you're eating a piece of bread or meat or whatever, it's all good, but you want to swallow it and now you're choking. And you don't have water, you're gonna die or near to die. But what you have in front of you is, for example, alcohol. You can drink that alcohol to push that food to get into your stomach and not get stuck there so that you do not die. Um, so necessities makes the forbidden permissible. Um, and this is important to give you the mindset of Islam. Islam didn't come to make things forbidden even if you die. So, for example, regarding saying things that will get you out of Islam normally, like, for example, cursing Allah, astaghfirullah al-azim. But if a person came to you with a gun on your head and said, okay, if you don't curse Allah, then you will die. I mean, in normal circumstance, you would never ever do that. And you're a believer and you love Allah, but Allah tells you that If you are in that situation, say it, because saying it doesn't change anything in your heart. You're a believer, but it's going to save your life. So it's forbidden. It's very bad, very ugly. But because now you are in the need of saying it, otherwise you will die, then saying it is permissible because you're not changing faith. You're only saying something with your tongue, but your heart is there, having faith. You just need it because otherwise you will die. You'll annihilate. Um, and this makes it, permissible because now it's a necessity. So a necessity is not about, for example, when I mentioned um, the example about eating pork, it is not about you, making barbecue with that pork. No, it's about you to eat it as much as you need. And that's where the scholars say, whatever you need for that necessity, then you take it as much as you need it. So you need to eat, for example, some amount of pork to be able to sustain your life, then it's only permissible to eat that amount, not to make a party and start eating, barbecued pork or pork chops or whatever. It's for that necessity, it's for you to live. The same thing if you want to swallow that, that food that's stuck in your throat and you're gonna die, you're choking. You can drink that alcohol to push the food with it, but as much as the necessity requires, not, okay, now I drink alcohol, it's not a problem. No, it's a problem, but it was, made permissible for you so that you do not die. So the same thing when, want to eat food that is not slaughtered correctly, but killed. Um, so you wouldn't eat it. You wouldn't say, it's a necessity that I eat it. No, it's not. You can eat fish, you can eat halal or um, kosher, you can eat tofu, you can eat beans, you can eat whatever you need to eat. You can eat that. You do not need, you're not in a necessity. If you don't eat it, you'll die. It's not because you like it, it's because you're gonna die if you don't eat it. Um, and Then, I mean, there are five levels. The top one is necessity. Underneath that is less crucial, but still crucial. It is called need. So we have number one, necessity. Number two, need. And scholars say that need takes the same state or status as necessity. So what is a need? What is the difference between a need and a necessity? A need is something that if you do not do, you wouldn't die, but you would be in a great hardship. So, for example, if you want to live, a normal human being would be living in a shelter, which means a house, an apartment, whatever is available for that person. Because if they live in the street, they wouldn't die, but they would be in a great hardship. It's a suffer. So a suffer that doesn't lead to death or close to death, that's what a need is. And they say that a need takes the same status as necessity. Means not because you want to go to, for example, pilgrimage al Hajj, you would sell your house. That's not permissible in Islam. You cannot do that because it's a need for you to have a house. Otherwise, you will be in a great hardship. So we have necessities, we have needs, and a need, as I said, is something that without it, you will be struggling in life. Life will be very, very hard, but you probably wouldn't die. You wouldn't be close to dying. Okay. Um, and um, in Islam, this is very big, as I said. That's why I put it in the this stage, which is building the Islamic mindset. Because some people may think that, okay, for me to be a good Muslim, then I would need to be in hardship. I need to be, suffering. I need to be this and that. And this is not true. This is not true at all. The Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, when he was, mentioned and the companions or the followers asked our mother Aisha, they said, how was he, the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, peace and blessings be upon him? Describe him to us. If you would describe the Prophet Muhammad, how would you describe him in general? Was he like this or was he like that? The strange thing that she described is with everything the Prophet Muhammad did, with all of the manners the Prophet Muhammad had, with all the bravery and courage and strength he had in battle to defend his people and his country from being um, invaded, with all the generosity he had, with everything he had, she didn't describe any of those things. She said one thing. She said that he wouldn't be in a situation to choose between two things, but he chose the easiest one among them if it wasn't a sin. If it's a sin, then he is the furthest away from a sin. But if it wasn't a sin, then he would choose the easiest one, the most, reliable one among them. So, Islam, when we need to build the Islamic mindset, we need to understand that it is not about hardship. Hardship sometimes is needed. For example, a person who's studying for a test to have a good future, somebody who is working to sustain his family, somebody who needs to sometimes, do things that are permissible but hard. It's not because we, as Muslims and as the followers of this religion, love hardship and, things being difficult, but it is because it's necessary. Because if I don't work, for example, I would be living in the streets. Okay, so what do I do? Which one actually makes better sense? Which one is actually, take me away from necessity and need? It's for sure working or studying or taking care of my family, taking care of my health. So sometimes work or studying is a hustle, but it's for us to have, a life that is easier than if we abandon this. So we need to look at it from perspective where it's not only about now, what is easier now. I mean, easier now for anybody to just go and chill and play games and go on, trips and eat food and doesn't care about, the health and the weight and the quality of the food and the quality of life, and they just enjoy. But then what about the future? Are those action will actually lead you to being, in a bliss, or are they going to be leading you to be in need and necessity? And that's how we think. That's how we tackle things. Another thing is that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says about this, says, no causing harm and no returning harm. Do not cause harm and do not allow for things to cause harm to you. It's a big, big rule in Islam. It's actually one, I think, of the five major rules in Islam of how a scholar thinks. So we have in Islam rules, we have the five major rules, and then we have from it branching many, many rules. But one of the major rules in Islam is to not cause harm, not accepting harm. So this religion is revelated for a human being to live a good life. Another rule is harm cannot be removed by another harm. If they're totally equal, then removing a harm by causing another harm, or for example, removing the harm from yourself and causing it to another, um, this is not acceptable. So those rules are rules that shows you that Islam as the um, the doctrine of Allah respected the human. As we said before, respected the life of a human being, respected the intellect of the human being, respected the doctrine of the human being, of, the Islam, the religion itself. Islam is how you act, how you think. So it's respected, because if we remove religion, we would be removing the mindset of how a person should act in this life, and then life will become just a mess. Respected the dignity of a human being, respected the ownership of the human being and its property. So this rule shows us that the most respected thing is the human. And then from there, we move on to respect other things, to the point that the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, said that, in Arabic, if I remember it, oh, um, for to Allah, for the Kaaba to be removed stone by stone, stone after stone, it's way um, less valuable than for one person to lose his life. Which means if a person came and, it's a necessity here. Nobody can do anything. And they said somebody is very, very powerful, very, very influencer that nobody can act against his will, and said, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to be removing the Kaaba and destroying it completely, one stone at a time. The Kaaba is a blessed place. The Kaaba is a place where when you visit the Kaaba and you first look at the Kaaba, you have an accepted dua, an accepted prayer. Allah will accept that prayer, the one which you do when you first look at the Kaaba. The Kaaba is the place where, as the scholars say, Allah look at earth from, kind of, interpretation to that, but it's very, very blessed, very honorable place. It's the place where when we pray, we go and, aim ourselves towards it to pray to Allah. So it's very blessed place. It's kind of the um, the center of belief. And if a person come and they would give us the option, rather I remove the Kaaba and destroy it completely and annihilate it stone by stone, which means deliberately, not by an accident, or to harm a person, then the very obvious choice would be, as a Muslim, as a person who understands Islam, we would tell him, do whatever you want with the Kaaba, but do not come close to a person. Not even a Muslim, just a person. This is how valuable and how honored human beings are to Allah. So this religion is telling us not to eat pork, not to drink alcohol, not to do the bad things for us. But when it comes the time where actually we are dying, then do it, because now you need to do it to sustain your life. That's the religion of Allah, a religion of mercy, where it's teaching us to keep lives, not to take lives, to the point where Allah in the Quran says, whoever actually revives a person, helps a person to stay alive, then as if that person actually helped every soul, every person to stay alive. Very great honor. And on the other side, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ talks about a woman that actually had a kitty, a cat, and she just, prisoned the cat, just kept her wherever she kept her. She didn't give her food, she didn't give her water, and she didn't let her go and eat and take care of herself, and she died, that cat. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that woman is in hell because she actually made a soul suffer. She killed an animal, then she will be punished. So life is very, very important. Again, um, you know, necessity and need because they act a very, we can say, crucial role on how to sustain our life. Do you have, guys, any questions or do you have anything you want to add? Okay, cool. So we're done today. We'll meet inshallah next week. Be safe, be good, inshallah. For you guys who are actually studying, I wish you all the luck and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward your efforts and be with you. Um, See you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.